Let's look at John chapter number 11, verse number 3. Therefore, his sisters sent unto him, and they're saying this: Lord, behold, he whom thou lovest is sick. What? You mean that Jesus has someone, while he's going around all of Judea, healing every manner of sickness and disease? Matter of fact, he gives his disciples power over sickness and disease. And yet here his friend is? What an embarrassment. What an embarrassment. You have power to save all these people that come unto you, and you never hung out with them. You never was at their house, and you never mixed it up with them. And yet, here's your friend. Here's your friend that is sick. And your response, we find out, is that when you heard about the sickness, you didn't run to his rescue. You let it get worse. You let it get to the point where he actually died. What an indictment upon Jesus' love. Or are we looking at it wrong? Are we looking at it that the only way that we can express our love language is that we save people from situations and circumstances? Could it be that God's love is so that he will place people in circumstances and situations that will possibly endanger their lives or possibly could kill them, so that his will and his glory could be known to the masses? Isn't that what we see in Jesus? That God didn't spare him, but gave him freely to all of us who would believe on him? That he was willing to give his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish. Likewise, Jesus became the one who knew no sin and took on the sin of the world, the wages of sin, which is death. He was the sacrificial lamb who didn't deserve it. But can we spin it and say he was the sacrificial lamb, that the only one that could do what we could not do? So he was deserving of this privilege and this honor to bring people back unto God, to be the doorway to bring people back unto God. And so we see love language is that God will allow us to go into a place, into a room, into circumstances, into crisis, that on the outside looking in, it looks like we're being abandoned. But we already learned that Jesus will never abandon us, that God will never abandon us, that his love is always with us, that he is with us even when we go through peril or sword or things present or things to come, height or death. He is with us no matter what the situation is. No matter how the odds are against us, he's with us. But he's with us so that we can be like sheep that are going before the slaughter. Surely Jesus could have gotten to Lazarus on time and laid his hands on him and said, "Get up," or He didn't have to even lay his hands on them. He could have just said, get up. But he let him get to a point where he died. Do we think that Jesus doesn't love us when we get to that point where things get real bleak? When we get to that point where nobody else can help us and he doesn't come at the last second and rescue us, but he lets us go into that place where we feel like we're separated from our church, feel like we're separated from our family, feel like we're separated from our employer, feel like we're separated from any real energy that's coming forth out of our life. We just feel, we feel like, what's going on? I thought you loved me, Jesus. No, he's allowing us to understand the love language of God, that he will place us in a situation that he will be glorified, that he will be praised, that people will see exactly who Jesus is. Because like a song said, everybody doesn't know who Jesus is. And it's our job, it's our responsibility, it's our privilege, brothers and sisters, to suffer with him so that we may be able to be obedient to his every word, his every will for our lives, to give our bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, so that he ultimately will be glorified. I pray that you have a wonderful discussion, this on different layers, talking about our expectation of what we think our love relationship with Jesus is, our ability to suffer with Jesus so that we can present Jesus to others. Can I, before I close, don't become bitter when you have to suffer, because nothing causes people to resist our Jesus than to see people who say that Jesus loves them and they're going through, that they go through it, they go through the misery, they go through it with bitterness. So please, ma'am, please, sir, understand that joy is not squashed when life circumstances come in our lives. That we have joy in spite of what is happening around us, which leads people to understand that God, Jesus that we serve, is bigger than exterior or peripheral happenings in our lives. That we draw joy from knowing that our name is written on the Lamb's Book of Life. Love language. You get to suffer with Jesus. You get to reign with Jesus. You get to be that sacrifice so that people can see that God is powerful over every circumstance, and he gets to use you and me to prove to the world how great he is. Love language.